a little, it can be a little acid on the pH chart, but the Himalayan salt isn't. It is slightly alkaline, and it has 85 different minerals and trace minerals in it. So it's nutritious. So if you're going to take the hot air popcorn and add the coconut oil to it to drizzle over that, and add the Himalayan sea salt, that's actually a healthy snack, to have.
Right.
Instead of, come on, the microwave stuff, it's very scary. You read the label, you read the packaging on it, and there's other stuff in it too. And, it's a microwave. I'm one of those ones that I don't believe no home should have a microwave. Food should not be cooked in a microwave. And one real easy thing to tell, when people want to argue about it, well, it's like anything else. It's like GMO food. I'm sorry. We are a country in America that really seems to think that if all of this millions and millions of dollars is being spent on commercials, you're not going to spend millions and millions of dollars and tell people lies.
Hey, you spend millions and millions of dollars, you're going to tell them whatever you want them to believe.
Exactly. That is exactly true. And so one thing that I have people do that's really easy is go buy 2 little plants that are the exact same species, and kind of seedlings, or maybe they're 3 or 4 inches tall, and take water that is from the tap. And that's chlorine and ammonia and fluoride. Let that water sit overnight for 24 hours so that some of the stuff that's in it can settle. Then take water and let it sit 24 hours, but microwave it. Just, blast it, nuke it a couple of minutes, that water. And then take one specific plant and water it with the microwaved water. And the other one, water with the 24-hour water that come out of the tap. Within 10 days, it's kind of that 10-day cycle again, kind of like with the mice and the GMO food, tumors and dying. Your plant is going to be dying. That plant would be dead. So it's sitting on the same shelf. It's getting the same amount of sunlight. You started out with, the same species of plant. They're the same size. One is getting water from the tap. The other one is getting water that was from the tap, but it was microwaved.
Right. Now,
so stop and think about it. Changes the molecular structure of the water molecule. And
basically makes it distilled from there, right?
No,
Dead water?
No, distilled is an evaporation process with water, where like a steam distillation,
Okay.
and that's how you get distilled water. But distilled water is also very acidic, and distilled water is not good either. There's no nutrients in it. It's flat. It tastes flat. Its molecular structure. There's no nutrients. There's no oxygen in it.
So what's the microwave doing to the molecules in that one?
The microwaved water just it alters the actual molecule of the water. It's like looking at water underneath a microscope. There's so much truth and energy that even by taking water and putting on your bottle love, joy, happiness on your actual water bottle, and then take a water bottle and put on it hate, death, unhappy. look at the water molecules that come from those different jars underneath a microscope, and there's a different structure that you see within that water molecule.
Even though if it was the same water that you
Even though it's the same water, just the energy of, there's, it's like, and I've talked about this before as well on past shows, is energy. We've all hugged somebody. That's maybe the easiest thing for you to kind of understand the concept that I'm talking about, is everybody's hugged somebody that when you hugged them, you went, oh, geez, I should have never did that. You can just feel that their thought is like, what are they doing? Why are they hugging me? Get away from me. You feel that. You pick up that energy. Then there's other people that you give them a big old hug, and, you're just giving them a big old bear hug, and they're hugging back, and it's good, and you can feel that good positive energy between each other. So when you're just the mental energy that's going on, when you're literally writing that down, the energy that comes from the body, from the mind, as your hand is writing that on a little sticky thing to put on the jar of water, just the thought of death, hate, fear, okay, just that energy that comes from the mind, the thought process of that, and putting that on the water, and then the thought, and then the energy of writing love and health and wealth, and putting that on it and looking at it, it actually literally changes what that water molecule looks like. And that's another thing that you can look up on YouTube.
I want to get my own microscope.
Microscopes are cool. Yes,
that's what I want.
They're very cool. So, so popcorn snack. You want to put a little coconut oil over that, and some Himalayan salt. It's pink, and loaded with minerals and trace minerals. Another way, the best thing to make a poached egg, over easy egg. Put a little coconut oil in the pan. Use that. Use the coconut oil instead of butter that will burn.
Right, in which most people's butter is more than likely that processed butter. That's not even real butter.
Yeah, and the butter, and you always want to buy butter that is unsalted.
I do. I don't like that salt.
Because salted butter is acidic on the pH chart.
And if you knew
Regular
how much
butter
salt was really in there. Because
yeah.
if you were to melt it down, add just a little tiny bit of water to it, solidify it back up, and then pop it out of the container. And if you look on the bottom, you're going to see a cake of salt.
Oh.
And it's pretty gnarly looking. Honestly. It's pretty nasty.
Huh.
It's
That's
thick.
what, yeah. And coconut oil has a nice flavor. So use it in anything that calls for oil or shortening or butter. Use the coconut oil. Plus, it's highly nutritious. Very, very nutritious. You can put that on the top of a sweet potato and add a little cinnamon on that. Instead of slathering it up with a bunch of butter. Okay, so baking oil. Use it in all of your baking recipes, your brownies and cookies, things like that. Anything that you're making, use the coconut oil. Then there's uses for it. Skin moisturizer. I talked about that. You can add essential oils to that as well, or just use it by itself. A teaspoon of coconut oil and rub that into your hands to rehydrate your skin. You can take coconut oil and use equal parts of coconut oil with baking soda, and then add a few drops of peppermint oil couple drops of cloves. We talked about on the show, last show on with essential oils, that we hear so much about antioxidants and ORAC value, the oxygen value of specific fruits that are high ORAC, high antioxidant. There's nothing that compares at all to clove. 1 drop of clove oil that's organic, not synthetic, because the synthetic doesn't have any nutrient properties to it at all. We kind of talked about that too, some of the things that these flavorings come from. It's like,
right.
Who's the one that put their finger in that and licked it and said, wow, this tastes like pineapple, tastes like bananas, tastes like maple syrup. So, if you're making like a natural toothpaste, so again, it's equal parts of coconut oil with baking soda, which is high alkaline pH, baking soda, and add a few drops of peppermint. If you've got infection going on, add the clove oil, add
right.
some myrrh essential oil, okay, and brush your teeth with that. A lip balm, you can take, you can mix coconut oil with beeswax. Add a little lavender in it, or, if you deal with a lot of cold sores or fever blisters, add some Melissa essential oil in that. And remember that, viruses, all of the cells in the body have that omega-3
right.
coating
Shield.
around. It's a shield. And that coating is around every single cell in the body. So I had talked about, antibiotics being pretty much water soluble. So they'll make their way into the bloodstream. The bloodstream then carries that throughout the cardiovascular system and goes through the organ areas. But it cannot, because it is water soluble, it cannot penetrate that cell. And that is why the medical field really they don't have anything to take care of a virus, because viruses penetrate that omega-3 shield of the cell. They penetrate through that wall, and the antibiotics can't make it through that cell wall. So that's where the essential oils do come into play. You've got frankincense and myrrh, and those were two of the oils that were given, they were given to the baby Jesus.
Right.
Was frankincense and myrrh. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So by adding, say if you're dealing with infection in the mouth, an abscess tooth, oil pulling, take an ounce of coconut oil and swish that back and forth in the mouth. Literally, swish it back and forth, push it through the teeth. Do that. You're going to put that 1 ounce in your mouth, and it's going to look white when you put it in your mouth. But after 20 minutes of really pushing that through the mouth, and if you're dealing with a say gingivitis, which is people who have gingivitis can spread that very easily with their saliva.
Oh, really?
You can give gingivitis to your children just by kissing them.
Wow.
Giving them a kiss, yeah. It's pretty bad stuff. So, say if you're dealing with something like that, pyorrhea, where the gums are bleeding, that's bad stuff as well. Coconut oil with an ounce of coconut oil with one or 2 drops, nothing more than that, of clove oil that's organic clove oil. And use that as oil pulling. And oil pulling is 20 minutes pushing that through the teeth and swishing it around in the mouth. And when you're ready to get that out of the mouth and to spit that out, it's usually